So just to set the record straight, I've literally never heard of Odd Couple in my life. I don't know if it's before my time and more Mason's time. It's possible. That's why Mason's really like impressed by these new gizmos of today. It kind of, but us younger guys get it a little bit better. But yeah, like you mentioned, myself and Ankit, we're both on the Zoho creator team. So this short session, probably about like 30 minutes, we're just going to run through a couple cool things and kind of expand on what Sridhar talked about earlier, how we have a bunch of different pieces of the puzzle and you kind of have to explore things and find out which piece is going to be the new big piece that's going to basically take on and become a bigger part of the future. Things are always evolving, especially in the technology world. 3, 4, 5 years ago, online CRMs or apps, they weren't as big of a deal. Phones were still picking up, and there was a lot of different changes. And just like technology evolves and everything pretty much evolves, sometimes things get bigger, and then in the phone market, things get a little bit smaller, and then sometimes things get bigger all over again. It just depends on how the cycle goes, and everything's always cyclical. I'm sure in another 5, 7 years, we might be back to going to phones that are about that small. But for the time being, we're on the upscale, so phones are just getting bigger and bigger, and things are changing like that. But kind of how things are changing, we're going to talk a little bit more about how people are interacting with different digital devices. So in the very beginning, probably back in Mason's time, you were sitting at a computer like this, or I'm told people were sitting at computers like this. It's even before my time. They would push some buttons or press some dots or crank some wheels or maybe step on some things and work in a room that did some powerful stuff. And then after that, people actually got a screen and they had basically a command line. So in the first computer I had was like a very old Windows computer. I remember my dad would teach me how to like open different directories through the command line, and you didn't have folders or anything to drag and drop with. So all you had was just basically text, and then you could pick a bunch of options. But nobody really wanted to do that. We needed something a little bit more graphical and something we could easily be able to relate with visually. So then we started getting into mouse interfaces where people could point and click and move things rather than just keying in commands. Instead of typing in one, you wanted to kind of just click on the one that you wanted to go to. It was more intuitive. After mouses, we started getting to touchscreens. I was a BlackBerry addict back when BlackBerries were a big thing, like 15 years ago, 10 years ago, I guess. Yeah, 10 years ago. And I would swear I would never give up on a physical keyboard. Then I got an iPhone, and then now if you see BlackBerries, they suck. And even though people who were addicted to them before still don't use it because everyone kind of moved to touch interfaces just because it was so much more intuitive than just a click of a button or a scroll wheel that usually got gunk on it, and then you would have to spit on it and kind of wipe it off and then start using it again. Everybody spit on a BlackBerry ball. If you didn't spit on a BlackBerry ball, you don't know BlackBerry life. I can guarantee you that. So touchscreens is kind of how things evolved just because we could interact with things in a lot of different ways. We could start clicking twice at the same time to pinch and zoom. We could use 2 fingers to scroll up and down, kind of like we can on a trackpad. These are all things we take for granted nowadays, but back in the single-click mouse era and the command line, we weren't able to actually interact with our data or see what we wanted to see very easily. So after touch interfaces, we started getting into no interfaces. So now you have things like Siri, OK Google, and Cortana that pretty much nobody uses, but it's just there just because it was the picture that I got, so I had to talk about it. I could have cropped it out too. But basically, everybody's got a personal assistant on their phone now, except for BlackBerry. But everybody else pretty much has a personal assistant that you can talk to. They'll set reminders, they'll tell you quirky little jokes, and you can call people and interact with information in your phone without even having to directly type a name in it anymore, right? So I can say, hey Siri, call Ricky when I'm driving, and it'll call Ricky rather than me having to go type his phone out to Siri to do that. So there's a lot of safety features involved, but it's kind of just a quirky little convenience. Sometimes you don't want to just pull out your phone. You just want to get a piece of information verbally as quick as possible with the least amount of resistance from just asking a question and getting an intelligible answer back to it. So that's kind of where we go with the Amazon Echo. So this tall cylindrical thing is an Amazon Echo, not drawn to scale because it's actually this small. And basically what this thing does is Amazon made it. Nobody really knew what it was for or how powerful it would actually be when it came out. And it's literally a glorified Siri standalone. So imagine a phone with a speaker on it. It's a Bluetooth speaker. You can talk to it here and there, and you can interact with it. So I can simply come up to it here and say, Alexa, what's the weather?
Currently, in Pleasanton, it's 73 degrees with clear skies and sun. Tonight, you can look for clouds with a low of 54 degrees.
So that's kind of nifty, but not really that nifty because I can do that from my phone wherever I am, right? This is a big clunky thing. I'm not putting it in my pocket. I'm not taking it in my car with me. So what good is really something that's stationary like this for? Well, People thought the exact same thing, but then people started buying it a lot more. And then you'd put it in your kitchen or your living room, and from this Alexa device, you could go control your TV and say, hey, Alexa, turn my TV on. Or more importantly, when you're cooking, I don't cook, I just microwave, but I'm told when people cook, sometimes they want to know, like, how many cups are in a quart, a pint, something, ounce. That's how you know I don't cook, because I can't even tell those kind of things. But you can also ask it for ingredients, set timers, and do other cool nifty things that Siri and other things can do. But now it's a little bit louder. You can talk to it from anywhere. And it kind of stays as a central control unit for your entire home. But it's stationary, so, I mean, you don't really have the echo on your phone or anything. It's just, something that has in your room. But one of the biggest things Amazon did was give it the ability to talk to other applications. So some people who are a little bit more on the geeky side or whatever, they may have heard recently Google announced that they're going to come up with a home unit. People have known about Siri for a really long time, but there's no open integrations available. Siri, you can't go plug in some other custom application and talk to Siri and have that interface with something else. Versus on the Echo, people can integrate with whatever really they want to, and they can build their own things. So we're going to kind of go through what we've been working on for the better part of this morning, and I guess a little bit last week, but mostly this morning. Some of the stuff that mostly Ankit and I have built together, and talk about how something as simple as this can move into your workplace, and you can interact with it, whether it's from a sales floor, or it's in a warehouse, or you're on the go and you're, let's say, a dentist, and you just want to ask, bill this client $1,000 for a new pair of cavity fillings that he may or may not need. Whatever you want, you can interact with your CRM data, or any data really, directly from a voice assistant that you wouldn't normally be able to do. So first thing we're going to do here is pop open our CRM. So this is my CRM system. And inside my CRM system, everybody should know we have leads, accounts, contacts, and stuff like that. And basically, the first thing I'm looking at is just my leads page. So if I come over here and I want to say scroll down to the very bottom and zoom in, right now I have 201 leads in my system. So I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to delete this bad boy because make it a nice even 200 number. So sometimes you just want to know how many leads are in your system, which is now 200, because 201 minus 1 is 200. If I zoom in on this thing. But also, if I want to just, at a high level, kind of find out how many records I have in my system, maybe I could ask Alexa. Ankit's really passionate about this, if you can't tell, a little bit more so than me.
So initially the plan was to launch Zoho. So as Tejas mentioned, Amazon made the Alexa voice service completely open. Right? Siri is not open. Google voice service is not open. So what we thought is we can hook up in software which can talk to all other Zoho software and make a voice UI. Alexa, launch Zoho.
Welcome to Zoho, a leading provider of cloud applications for small and medium businesses. How can I help you today?
Alexa, ask Zoho to welcome the audience.
Hello everyone. I hope you had an amazing time in Zoholic Sales and Marketing.
So this was the flow. Now, the records.
Well, now it's your turn.
Alexa, ask Zoho how many leads are in my CRM.
You have 200 leads in your CRM.
Cool. But so basically, the first two were kind of nifty. It was basically just asking Alexa something and then returning basically a static response that's not changing. Versus the 200 lead count is something that changes automatically. Depending on how many leads you have in the system, it will return the right answer. So if I want to come in here, maybe I just want to know, let's say, for example, how many of a certain type of lead I have in my system. I can come into a view here in the system, and let's just say I look up account. All right. So I've got 8 accountants here in the system just by doing a quick search on all of my open leads, right? But maybe Ankit can just ask Alexa.
When I say Alexa, ask Zoho. So ask Zoho is the invocation name where the Alexa knows I'm asking Zoho. So that's the application which you have loaded inside Alexa voice service. And then I'm building the string by saying what do I want the service to do. So in this case, we want to know the number of accountants in my CRM. So the construction of the sentence will be, Alexa, ask Zoho how many of my leads are accountants.
You have 8 number of leads who are accountants.
Right, so like I mentioned, the way we structured it was like ask Zoho how many That's like the standard question. So it knows to search the leads module or blank accountant. So that's the term we're searching for. And then it'll go back and return the number 8 that's there. So similarly to accountants, maybe I want to know how many people are from Austin instead, because that's more important than accountants. So I'll come in here and search for accountants. So I got two of my leads in the system who are from Austin. And just to know that we didn't cheat, we can do a search for Austin now.
Alexa, ask Zoho to list all the leads from Austin.
They are Willie Nelson, who is a legendary musician. Kevin Durant, who is a proud Texas Longhorn and a great basketball player, even though he lost to the Warriors.
So basically what we did is we just took their first and last name and then we threw in the title, assuming they would have legitimate titles like accountants or something, but that's not as fun. So we just gave them cool, funny titles and it'll spit out their first name, last name, who is a, and then it'll spit out the title. So it'll be based on the sentence construction that he listed. But just finding out how many leads and how many accounts are in your system are kind of nifty, but not really that practical because you wouldn't go spend all the time that you spent to program all this just to find out how many leads you have from Austin. So more important from an actual sales perspective is maybe you want actual reporting on what kind of sales you're doing.
Alexa, ask Zoho top 5 accounts.
Your top 5 accounts are Dunder Mifflin Paper Company with $123,527 of closed deals. Entertainment 720 with $107,663 of closed deals. Very Big Corporation of America with $90,139 of closed deals. Wonka Industries with $76,683 of closed deals. Skynet with $71,717 of closed deals.
So basically we just asked it to run a report, go through and sort all the accounts based on total value of business, summed up by all their potentials that have been closed won, and then list out the top 5 just giving the company name. If we wanted to add more to it, like their location or maybe who their account owners were or what region they're in, we could always add more information. So after we have the account information, maybe the next thing we probably care about is which of my reps are actually doing a good job. So first thing we probably want to do is find out who all of them are. Alexa, ask Zoho sales reps.
Your sales representatives are Samir, Ricky, and Tejas.
All right, so now we've got the listing of sales reps. If you have 3, it's pretty easy to keep track of, but if you had more, then obviously you could just list them out. Hopefully you know the names of all your salespeople, unless you're just churning them out. Then sometimes we just like to number them off by what number they are. But maybe we want to find out which of my sales reps are actually good and which of my sales reps are less than stellar. So I can come in here and change my report out, and instead of doing the groupings based on account, I'll just do it based on potential owner, and I'll save this bad boy. So now I've got a small little report here that shows my 19 deals, Samir's 5 deals, and Ricky's 6 deals. I'm pretty sure criteria is close 1. Yeah, so this is all good, right? So maybe we want to ask Alexa.
Alexa, ask Zoho best sales rep.
Your best sales representative is Tejas Gadia with $781,485 of closed deals. You should promote him. Oh wait, that reminds me that today is Tejas' birthday. Happy birthday, Tejas.
Yeah. That was a surprise. I didn't know he added the second part. But the promotion I added, so that was easy. But more importantly, you might want to know who the best one is. Maybe you also need to know who the worst one is.
Alexa, ask Zoho worst sales rep.
Your worst sales representative is Samir Mayarali with $450 of closed deals. Oh my God, he is so bad. You should probably fire him.
I think Samir ran out of the room too because he knew he was probably going to get made fun of a little bit. All right, cool. So that's a little nifty. So now we're just interacting with CRM information, and you trust that we know what we're doing to some extent. But now, not just interacting with CRM information, we want to actually be able to maybe communicate with our entire sales team directly. So I'm not sure if anybody actually talked about this earlier, but we've got a product called Zoho Chat. It's a really nifty little product. You can chat with your team. Everybody gets it. It's all free. And basically, you can communicate however you want to, and everyone has it who has a CRM. You just got to go to chat.zoho.com. So what we can also do is send messages out from Alexa directly to certain groups. So here on the left-hand side, I've got a couple of channels that we call them, my sales team and then also creator team. So maybe in this sales team one, we want to tell everybody that, the numbers are pretty good. Let's just, give them a pat on the back or something. I don't know, make them feel good about themselves. It's all salespeople want to do, right? So, Ankit, we'll talk.
Now we are sending a text message from Alexa interface to a Zoho chat. All right. And we have constructed the sentence in that manner, in a particular manner, so that the Alexa voice service understands what we are saying, parses our message, and then send it to the chat team. Alexa, ask Zoho to send a chat to the sales team saying, "Good job, everyone."
Sending message. Good job, everyone. To the sales team.
I promise I didn't type that. All right. So you trust that we know what we're doing. We got this cool thing to work. So basically, sometimes all that Ankit's basically programmed is the voice will go to the Echo. From the Echo, it goes out into the cloud. And then from the cloud, it'll come down to the CRM and Creator that's both working together to communicate back to the Echo with the question that you asked it. But what if you don't even need the Echo in general? Because technically, it doesn't matter if it's your computer, your phone, the Echo, whatever device might have an input that you could speak to in a microphone, it all connects to the internet nowadays mostly. So if you had any input device that could maybe connect to the internet and you could communicate with it that way, you could control and find out your sales information or any information for that matter using the Echo's APIs and integration abilities directly. So there's also websites that you can do, so you don't even need an Echo to really play with it. If you just want to talk to it and ask the weather, instead of Googling the weather, you could go to this website and talk to it if that's really how you felt. But on top of just using a browser, you can also use your phone. So based on using your phone, Ankit's going to go through a little demo and explain how he did this, because this was really his pet project this morning, about connecting his phone to the Alexa and then having that communicate back with your CRM and then student that information all the way back up the chain, back to his phone, so we can communicate with the Alexa and have that, use that voice interface without even needing the Alexa locally with them at all.
As you can tell, I wasted a lot of time in this. But, so yeah, what we thought was you don't actually need an Alexa. With Amazon Voice Service, they have put everything on cloud. So if you have a service which can act as an intermediary between your interaction device and Amazon Voice Service, you can use any service you want. So we thought if we don't have Echo with us, let's say you are on a holiday, you are traveling, but you still want to talk to your Alexa, what if we can give Alexa a designated number? So we used a service called Twilio. It's a cloud voice application service. So with that, you get a virtual number which you can call to. All right. We wrote a program where we loaded the entire Alexa voice service in cloud. Now Twilio can talk to Alexa voice service, so you don't actually need the hardware with you. So, sort of a quick demo.
What can I do for you?
Alexa, launch Zoho.
Welcome to Zoho, a leading provider of cloud applications for small and medium businesses. How can I help you today?
So I can do all sort of interaction which I've loaded in my account with my phone. So I don't even need a hardware anymore. So the way it works, just to walk you the way it works is you have a phone. Your phone network communicates with the Twilio network, all right, through APIs, and API now communicates with an Amazon cloud, which now communicates with Amazon Voice Services, which again communicates with Creator, which communicates with CRM, and all the way back.
It's like a long game of telephone, literally. See, if we had found out that you didn't need the Echo to do this entire presentation before we bought the Echo, things would have worked out a little bit better. But we spent a week messing with the Echo, and then we found out we didn't even need it at all. But it's a little bit cooler to have it. So yeah, that's pretty much time and presentation. So we can do one last final thing.
Alexa, ask Zoho to say goodbye to the audience.
On behalf of the entire Zoho team, I thank you for coming to the conference. We hope to see you next year.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.